you guys want to start farming?
This was his idea. I was going to go traveling again when I met Vince. I had been traveling a year. I came back. I got another job to save more money to travel again. And then I met a guy that wanted to farm. 30 years later.
Still
It's been
here.
fun. It's been fun.
Like we say, never a dull moment. Mary's never, since she's met me, she's never been bored.
This is where all of our vegetable crop is right now, plus a small patch on the other side of the driveway. So the vegetable patch is what, like maybe 6 acres
Yes,
that we have in veggies, you know, between the greenhouses and this, and then the other
we've
side
scaled
of the
back on our vegetable production. We used to do 12 acres. And
you know, and then also roll successions. So we'll do like multiple times in one bed. So it's kind of like doing twice as much by the time you're done. And winter crops, we do overwinter crops, or else anything that's not an overwinter crop area, then we'll put that in cover crop for the winter. So like this just all came out of garlic. We have a seed garlic business, so these sections here all came out of garlic, and now they're getting ready to roll them over, and we'll put some of Sudan grass in there, and then we'll follow that with the cover crop, the winter cover crop, to rebuild all the soil. And then like this kale here, this purple, all this whole kale line, that'll be here till next April. So that's some crops that we plant in February, and they're here for the entire season, all the way till next year. They're a biennial. Garlic for seed. That other people, we have an online seed business where we sell garlic for people to plant. So we sell a lot to like home gardeners, and we sell to farmers. We sell some on contract to other people like Territorial Seed for them to sell to other people. So we used to do a lot of that. We're scaled back to about a half or maybe less of what we used to do on seed garlic. So basically we're sort of concentrating our whole project down to selling through our store and in our commercial kitchen. So we have our commercial kitchen, we do all of our ferments, and we also do, you know, and then we expand on that. So we're doing, you know, kraut and kimchi, but then we also take the brine from the pickles and we make salad dressings that are like a probiotic rich salad dressing with all of those live brines. And then also just salsas, fresh salsas, pestos, that kind of thing. And all of that, once again, goes through the store. And then we're hoping to take a few items like the salad dressings, and we do a beet kvass, that's a drink, and get those projected out into local groceries and stuff, like into the co-op, into the Ashland Food Co-op, into several places, sort of as a, you know, we sold over the years, we sold a lot of salad mix and salad greens to the local stores, and to have a dressing that is partnered with that would be pretty cool. So we have an excellent person managing our certified kitchen, and she's developing all the recipes for that. So it's kind of fun when you make pickles, you know, so we make a lot of different kinds of just, you know, cucumber pickles besides just dill pickles. So, but like say you make a cornichon pickle with tarragon and garlic, kind of a French pickle, and then you take that brine and you evolve that into a Caesar dressing. So you're sort of thinking, as you're making your pickle recipes, you think about what the brine is going to be too. You know, what is the value added product that's going to come off of that brine. So it's kind of fun. It's always, you know, always a creative experience, you know, from planting to, you know, doing the kitchen, and then figuring out how to put it in the store, and then projecting where else it can sell, you know, where other venues might be good for it, and that kind of thing. So
You have to get pretty creative with your farming.
well, it's a whole fun, creative experience, you know. I mean, I used to be a product designer, and when I stopped doing that, I used to design toys, you know, big corporate gig. People said, "Oh, do you miss being a designer?" And it's like, I design buildings now, and farmscapes, and pickle recipes, and it's like there's always, you know, the whole analytical synthesis still happens. You know, it's just a different landscape. So a much more rewarding one, in my opinion. So, because you get to make food. You get to make food and you get to steward a good piece of land and just have, you know, it's a great thing. We've been on this property for 17 years.
17 now.
Yeah, we moved here in 2003.
That's right.
And this is our 29th year farming in the Rogue Valley, because we started out on the Cascade side in Shady Cove and then up on Elk Creek Road up on Trail. And then we moved down here in 2003. So it's, you know, to be 17 years on the property and see it all evolve from nothing being here except for, you know, the 2 barns to creating all, you know, having fun creating things is great. So it's a good time. Never bored.
Always something to do.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's not a bad living. You know, as long as our soil is balanced, it all works out okay. You know, because you're not drawing in the plants are healthy, and you're not drawing in a lot of bad dudes trying to take out your plants. 1 year, I don't know, 10 years ago or something, we had this June that was super rainy. It like rained every day in June, and so none of the bees were flying. So we had no wasps, we had no bees. We had so many cabbage lopers because nobody was eating the cabbage lopers. And gosh, we were bringing in boxes of broccoli and stuff was like climbing out of the boxes. We're like, whoa! And we realized because there wasn't any wasps or bees, so everybody complains about them, but they're like picking off the eggs, they're picking off the larvae, so they're doing their job. You know, everybody's got a job. So
You know, people are freaked out about wasps. You know, they think they're stingers and bad. But a few times I just laid on the ground in a big broccoli patch and just watched them slowly flying underneath the plants, and they find a loper, a larva, and they pick it up and they suck the juices out of it. They drop it and keep going. You know?
they're good little workers.
Doing good work
They're
under
really a beneficial beast. You know.
Yeah, I mean, people think like ladybugs are great beneficial insects, and that's true, but so are other things.
A
So
lot of other things. You also have a good population of predaceous ground beetles here. And they're like the cougar of the insect world, very fast predators. And they eat all kinds of bad boys.
all kinds of stuff that's, you know, soil dwelling critters, you know, larvae and stuff that's laid in the soil, like flea beetle larvae and just all kinds of things. So, and then we use floating row covers. We haven't used any kind of even organic insecticides on our fields in, God, at least 10 years. I don't know. Apart from it being, you know, for the most part, broad spectrum and taking out the wasps and the ladybugs, it's also just a logistical challenge because you have to stage everything, you have to document everything, everybody has to have their suits, and it's all just like, it's not worth the effort. So we use these row covers, and we got these great row covers, I don't know, 6-8 years ago. So after lots and lots of years of using, you know, a standard throwaway row cover, a lot of farms here in the Rogue Valley went in on this bulk buy. Actually, all throughout the Willamette, we had this big bulk buy, and we got a container of this stuff direct from the manufacturer. And it's pretty bulletproof. It lasts forever. And we just roll it up, and it's fine enough that it keeps out, you know, things like flea beetles. And so we use that, and we just, you know, we have like 10 lengths of it, and we just moves around the field and gets rolled up at the end of the year, so I don't have garbage anymore, which is nice.
But the insects we view as messengers. You know, if we see a big outbreak of insects, we know that we're doing something wrong. You know, and it usually has to do with soil balance.
Yeah,
So-
soil balance, or, you know, inadequate irrigation. Like if the irrigation has gaps where you're not like getting one spot, or you're not having overlap well, then you'll have a little group of stressed out plants within your bed or your field, and they'll call in bad insects to take them out, and then the insects will migrate throughout your field. So it's kind of like you don't want to give any purchase, you know, for anybody to be calling in the enemy. So, you know, and they all talk, you know, all the plants talk with each other, and they communicate their stuff to the insects. It's all, you know, they have their gig down. They know what they're doing. It's just for us to try to help husband it in a direction that is beneficial to people too. We have to, you know, give them the right situation. So,
But the insect world, the invertebrate world, is the last frontier for us to really understand and make useful. And we're learning how to do it. Everybody's learning how to do it.
Met a few farmers over the year that grow the same thing every year, and I am so proud of them. But no, you have to have something new. I mean, it's nice to be able to go on autopilot when you're busy and know, okay, I'll get these varieties and plant them on this schedule, and I don't have to think too hard about it. But you got to throw some new things in just for fun. And we try hard to not have too many things that are just for fun, because that's easy to do. And the next thing you know, you spent a lot of time and money doing things just for fun. And, you know, so there's a balance point there.
Right.
What is the best thing that has ever turned out that you did for fun that you weren't expecting to get much from?
I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's like every year something else is like, some years you have amazing overwintered cauliflower crops. And some years you just, just certain things also you just do because it's like years and years ago, we always like celery. We want to grow celery because, your own, farm-grown celery is so much better than store-bought celery, even organic. And we like to have it at market and such. And it's hard to grow. It's hard to work into a big cropping because it's got a high water use, it's got a high fertilizer use, and it just takes a little bit of maintenance, to make those fat celery heads. And one year we had a crop failure, so we started a second succession. So we'll just plant it again. We planted it, and instead of trying to get it to head up, we just started breaking ribs and selling it as bunches like you would any other bunch green. It's kind of cool because you snap a rib, it kind of strings itself because the strings are left behind if you don't use a knife. And we discovered that was way better than trying to grow celery heads. And now a whole lot of people are doing celery that way. And it was just more like, lemons to lemonade kind of thing than an intentional thing. It was more like, how are we going to solve this in the moment? And we sell tons of, celery bunches because they're just, you're constant. And I can sell them all year long, and I have them in the greenhouse over the winter, and they last until April in the field the next year if I cover them. And so it's that was kind of those little fortuitous things that it's not what you intended, but it worked out better kind of thing. So I would never try to grow celery as a head anymore. Why bother? It's so much, they're right over there. I have tons of celery that I'll just break all year. So just stuff like that, and then, you get in just trialing lots of different things and coming up with what works best on the farm, and then there's as far as the ferment business, there's all sorts of stuff that you're just let's try this, let's try that. We wanted to make a fresh salsa that also had the advantages of a ferment. It has all the probiotics, and I try to come up with things that are probiotic that are accessible for people to where they're like, I don't like sauerkraut, or I can't get my kid to eat it, or I had to think about how to incorporate it into my meal or whatever. But we make salsa, and we make a jalapeno relish that we make in the fall. And that's jalapenos and onions, and it's all spicy. And we make that, and then that kind of acts as our starter the next summer for making salsa. So we take our fresh tomatoes and some fresh onions, and we put a dollop of the jalapeno relish in it, which is fermented. And we blend that all together, and it's like a semi-fermented salsa. So, because fermenting tomatoes is kind of a challenging process, and it tends to taste like if you ever made tomato sauce where you forgot to cook it fast enough and it gets that sour taste. You're like, darn, I've ruined it. That's what it's like when you try and ferment tomatoes sometimes. So we use fresh tomatoes and add fermented jalapeno relish, and then that acts like a starter, and that, starts spreading those probiotics throughout the entire salsa. So then you have something that tastes like salsa, but has that, gut benefit for you. So just little things like that. Same thing with the dressings, really accessible things that you can put in your meal or put in your family's meal without having to think too hard. And so you're getting all the good stuff, That's been our challenge and my goal with, the whole kitchen experience and the whole ferment experience is to get more people eating all of it, and not have it be a chore or, something that's hard to figure out. Because I don't know about you guys, but boy, eating food, it's kind of on the fly a lot. It's not like, oh, I don't have I grew up with the, the menu on the refrigerator every day of my childhood, and I've never done that in my adult life. So, and I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of people are that way. And, so if you're going to do catch as catch can, if you have some easy things to throw in it so that you can like feel good about yourself, that's great. We have a basket weeder on a cultivating tractor. We have a finger weeder, and all of that comes in and does all this. This is like Octavio, I think, yeah, you can see he's done a little bit of hand weeding, but 90% of this was all done with a cultivating tractor, which is awesome. A lot easier. In fact, California, certain states have regulations where they prohibit finger weeding, which is like that hand picking weeding for, worker rights thing. But boy, it's hard to be organic without finger weeding, so I don't know how they're dealing with that. So, we do as best as we can using flame weeder, just a little push flame weeder and tractor equipment. So
Yeah, so we're always trying to figure out ways to minimize this repetitive motion thing. And the way we do that is have people mix up tasks, so no one is doing the same thing all day long. We just don't do that. The tasks are mixed up, so you're doing a different task, your musculature is working in a different way, and it diminishes the possibility of these repetitive motion issues, carpal tunnel and all that.
what's nice with having basically we have 5 different ventures on our farm, and a lot of our staff is cross-trained in multiple regions. So like my store workers will sometimes work in the kitchen, they'll be out here harvesting. So everybody's like doing a lot of things, and that way they get the full picture of the farm. And plus, if you have a really hot day in August, people can go in and start cleaning garlic. We don't have to have people out in the field at 3 in the afternoon when it's 100. So it's like, just being able to shift. And same thing if it's super cold and rainy, you have other jobs people can be doing. So, trying to have, we've managed to have year-round employment for people now with all the stuff we're doing year-round for everybody, and, a diversity of tasks so we can meet every condition. We get a lot of smoke here sometimes, and you can throw people in buildings and let them do things inside instead of outside when it gets bad. Just stuff like that. Try and keep everybody functional and healthy and happy and all that good stuff, ourselves included. So that's one of the reasons we started doing like other things, like having the seed garlic and having the kitchen, is to be able to have year-round work and to be able to have a diversity of work for people, so that so we're able to employ people during all sorts of different conditions.
But it's important for workers, to be able to say, people who've got a family, to say, you're working all year. In the wintertime, it's going to be cut back a little bit, but you're going to be working, as opposed to people saying, okay, I don't need you for the next 6 months. Adios, no, we don't do that.
Yeah, and training new staff is brutal. That's like the worst thing. That is so hard, and that's so common. And the more we can keep people employed year-round, the higher the likelihood of having staff year-round. So, finish. That's big. Should have sent bunch beets to market next week.
Oh, there's some goldies in here too.
Yeah, that's golds are down there. We use a lot of beets in the ferments as well, so yeah, you need to get them to pull some. On the list. Stuff gets away from you, I have a lot of these in. The Formanova types are great for doing processing, because you can run them through a slicer. They're a lot easier than dealing with the big round guy. So I put in a lot of these.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, they look really clean. They're nice. In the middle line is a golden.
Do you guys want to start farming?
This was his idea. I was going to go traveling again when I met Vince. I had been traveling a year. I came back. I got another job to save more money to travel again. And then I met a guy that wanted to farm. 30 years later.
Still
It's been
here.
fun. It's been fun.
Like we say, never a dull moment. Mary's never, since she's met me, she's never been bored.
Never been rested, but never been bored.
Have you always enjoyed farming?
I've always been an avid gardener,
Mm-hmm.
And I finally got to the point where we were able to do it. And it's been a great thing. Wonderful.
We used to
Almost been
joke.
like, for me personally, it's been like a redemption. You know, it's been really, really good for me, meaningful.
To have meaningful work is a good thing.
And a lot of fun, too. We had some crazy times, and it was, you know, in the earlier part of the organic movement, it was pretty wild. It was a very heady time, you know. Things were happening. If you had enough money to get some land and a couple of tractors and hire a few people and pull off any decent quality, you could sell it, no problem, not a question. So it was very interesting and open, you know, a lot of exchange of information. And
Yeah, it's amazing how, you know, even, you know, there's been so many waves of organic farming. You know, in the 80s, you know, the back to the land 70s into the 80s, it was kind of this, it was a little chaotic and crazy and lots of not great quality because people were learning it, you know, and not a lot of tools available. And then we got into it in 91 and it was just starting to solidify with more research being devoted to it, more people, I mean, not government obvious, but more, you know, Elliot Coleman coming out with all of his information and people just, you know, having more of a network and more of a sharing of information and resources. And then by the mid 90s, there was more tools coming available. There was more, you know, the ACG tractor started becoming popular where people could run, you have a cultivating tractor that can go through this and cultivate it because there wasn't any of that equipment early on that people were using on any kind of as a common thing. And now, you know, people who have fields like this, they have little cultivating tractors that are running through it and they have, you know, cultivating toolbars that are set up for it. They have certain, you know, every year there's new stuff refining that. And so it's been, you know, in the 90s, I remember in the late 90s, I visited another farm that was a bigger farm. It was like 30 acres. One of our interns had gone there to be a manager. And at the time there was this dead zone. It was called the dead zone between 10 and 25 acres. Once you got over 10 acres, it was hard to, you couldn't justify tooling up enough to really save on labor. So, but you couldn't do it on a small scale anymore. So there was this dead zone between 10 and 25 acres where farms would fail because they couldn't justify the equipment needs they had. And then over the following years, there started becoming a lot of small scale equipment come on. So there's no longer a dead zone. Now you can farm pretty much at any scale and there'll be tools to accommodate you. So it's, you know, you can do everything from, there's lots of micro farmers out there that have their cool rockstar podcasts and they're all doing, you know, half acre and they're making 100,000 or whatever. And then there's people doing larger scale and they're all able to do it well with good cultivating equipment. And it's a really evolved amazingly. It's a beautiful industry and it's great to be involved in it. You know, I mean, there's been setbacks over the years, you know, 9/11 changed things, 2008 changed things a whole lot, you know, and, you know, just the layers. And it'll be interesting to see what, you know, we're into a new world now. We're in a new world on a par or more so than 9/11 as far as instant shift in humanity and how society works. And I really think that organic farming is going to be a seriously key player in this party. You know, organic, local, small scale farming for your community is going to be a whole different, we're going to come into our own, you know, and we're going to be valued for the work that we're doing. And I think that the people who are coming up into this are, you know, they have a whole, you know, with all the networking and all the information sharing, there's just, people are gaining skill sets so quickly now and accomplishing things so much faster because it's such a stronger community, you know, and it's a real sharing community. People, there's not a lot of people like hoarding their information or not sharing or like, you're my competitor. That kind of stuff isn't happening. It's a very open networking community,
people
which
being
is
mutually
great.
supportive,
Yeah.
helping out each other, co-oping on buys of materials, and, you know, sharing equipment when necessary. And
Yeah, I mean, we have equipment here that we have in tandem with Oshala Farm, and we share stuff back and forth. Blue Fox Farm is right across the road, and they sell, they're a distributor for different fertilizers that we use. So it's great. All I have to do is hook up the forks on my tractor and drive across the road, and I can pick up a pallet of my fertilizer. So just things like that is amazing. It's just it's really a community that's coming to maturity, and it's beautiful. So it's just evolved so much over the 30 years we've been doing this. So it's cool. It's really good. It feels like it's working and it's going to work, and it was worth it. All those years back in the early years, like you're hitting August and you're out there harvesting beans, trying to decide who's going to get a job next year. Because it's like, I can't keep doing this. And you debate about what kind of job either one of you can get and who's going to do that. And then finally you decide that neither one of you wants to get a job. So then you plant again next year. So, and it feels like it all makes sense. It's good.
Once you start doing this, it's considering anything else is consider ourselves otherwise unemployable, just because we're, who would hire us now,
We're too surly to have jobs.
Really, you run business for yourself after a number of years. It's different.
Yeah, you're in a whole different culture.
Do you think the industry welcomes new farmers and new
Totally.
people? And why do you think that is? Is it just the type of people that are interested? Or?
Yeah, I think that people who are involved in this, for the most part, they understand the purpose of it. And that, we went through phases here, like in the Rogue Valley, where it was funny, because like the first 10 years we farmed, it was the exact same farmers. There was a handful of us farming, and we were all doing the markets, and there's people doing all the other side gigs at the market. And then, like, at about 13 years into it, there was a wave of new farmers. And at first we were like, that is so cool. Look, a new farmer. Isn't that cool? And we were excited, and we'd share information and talk with them. And pretty soon there was like a lot of new farmers. And then, everything is getting divvied up, and the pieces are getting a lot smaller for everybody, and suddenly it's like, I'm not selling as much to the co-op, or I'm not selling as much at market. And then it would get frustrating. And there was like a window there of, I don't know, half dozen years that was like a real debate about how do we in the valley not skunk the established farmers by welcoming the new farmers. And, it all leveled out. A lot of the new farmers moved on. It's a hard job, and then it all leveled out. And the ones that stuck are a part of the community, and we all share resources, we share information. We know that there's like a bigger picture, And like for us, that's one of the reasons why we started our seed garlic business, because our seed garlic is our export crop. We move a lot of money around in our community. We sell all of our product locally in our community, except for the seed garlic. That's the one we ship out the door in USPS priority boxes and bring money back from Connecticut and from Louisiana and from other places to add a cash infusion into the valley.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been nice. So we have a section of our business that we're bringing money back in here. So, and that's what a lot of the seed growing around here is the same thing. That's like the money that the businesses that are bringing money back into the community, because it's important to move money around the community, but it's also important to bring money into the community. So
This is a very good place to grow seed, because the late summer and early fall are typically quite dry, and it makes it easier to finish up the seeds and diminishes the possibility of molds and mildews and all that kind of thing.
yeah, we can dry stuff great here. And plus, with a lot of the areas, like, you go up and down these valleys and stuff, there's a lot of areas that we are super fortunate, and, we're very strategic. We've always gotten properties that have water rights that don't get shut off in August. And you have to know what you're doing and learn that and get that. But there's a lot of properties that the water does get shut off in August. And if you're doing a seed crop, that's fine. It's like, there's a lot of places here that the water is seasonal, and growing seed is perfect for it. I mean, I'm sure if you've been paying attention to ag in this small, organic ag in this valley, you've heard a lot of the stories on why seed growing is so important here, and why it's so good here, and why we have our GMO-free zones and all that stuff, because it's a perfect location for growing seed. And the water is part of it. The small isolated valleys is part of it. you know, the dry weather in the spring, the fall, and late summer is part of it. It's all combined to make it a perfect seed growing region. So we're lucky. But for us, you know, being on this land with feet deep of class 1 soils and water anytime we want it, it's a great place to grow vegetables too. So we do both.
You guys are really business savvy. Did you take classes or have an advisor or just trial and error?
30 years.
That'll teach you.
Yeah. I mean, we've always approached it with, like Vince always used to say, it's not a sustainable farm if it's not financially sustainable for the farmers. You know, otherwise you're just somebody's pet monkey. You know, you're just some cute person to buy a head of lettuce from and feel good about yourself at market. You know, and what we're trying to make is sustainable farms and encourage people to make sustainable farms, because we don't have to fall on the sword to keep you all feeling good about eating local. You know, we all need to be satisfied here together. So, and the same thing with our workers. I don't need to abuse workers to be able to provide people with local food, and just trying to create systems that are sustainable for everybody involved, and not just, you know, the person walking through market that wants to support local and feel good and have an Instagram post, you know. So
I like doing all of that.
it's all lovely, but you like it a lot more if you know that your farmers aren't
Oh,
dying.
yeah. Oh,
and
of
if you know
course.
that they can get a break sometimes, you know, and that's the challenge. And I feel like the community here is really receptive to that.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and, you know, over the years, we've had plenty of people that, you know, customers that weren't, and amazing amounts of customers that were, you know, so, and I think in a lot of people around here are very connected to the landscape in a different way than they would be in an urban setting. So, you know, we don't have to do too much education on that. People kind of understand it on a more visceral level, so.
Very cute.
And this is, we have our little hemp plantation out here. We started doing this last year.
Nice.
Kind of evolved, kind of accidentally. And yeah, and so now it's like a 5th venture because I wasn't doing enough, right? We didn't have quite enough jobs, so we threw in another one.
Mm.
This is going to make smokable flour and tinctures and that kind of thing. You know, I'm
Nice.
sure that once again, you live in this valley, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
You know about the hemp story.
I do.
Last year we planted about this much, and you know, Oshala Farm down the road has an amazing, you know, they have a medicinal herb farm, and a culinary herb farm, so they dry a ton of stuff. So they have big dryers, and we were planning on drying in their thing and just do like, oh, we'll just dry everything for biomass. And then by July or August, it became obvious that wasn't going to be a great game. So then we started like working on developing, you know, okay, I guess we're growing for flour and not for biomass. And so we did that, and we got ourselves a barn set up, and we got it all done, and we managed, you know, through the chaos to surround ourselves with some really amazing people that helped us see it through and educate us on the fly on it. And we're not planting quite as much this year, but we have in some, and we're doing some varieties that are trials for seed growers that we're trying to get a sense of what they are.
Mm-hmm.
And some other varieties, we have the CBD, the CBG, and the CBDV, which are all like being studied for different constituents and different medical uses and therapeutic uses. So we're learning, you know, and we're just putting in enough that we can get a sense of what we're doing.
And then the other thing that we've done here, it's a little different, is we're doing this without plastic mulch, and we have a system set up to roll up the T-tape that we've used so we can roll it out again the next year.
Yeah, same thing. We don't have disposable stuff out here, so
Yeah, because this hemp thing is a big plastic eater,
yeah, it's a bit of a
big
mess.
time. So we have the cultivating tractors. We had to modify a few things, and
Yeah, we got a whole system worked out last year for managing it for the most part, using equipment, you know, running cultivators through it and stuff until it's of a size, and so that made it really easy. And yeah, like I said, it's just, this is our 2nd year doing it, so it's all a learning curve for us, and we're just off to a new adventure because you wouldn't want to be bored, right? But you know, I feel personally that it's an amazing crop. You know, we've been here in this valley 30 years, and we have had our issues with the whole illicit black market grows and the medical grows that basically were selling black market, and the guns and the dogs and the neighbors that were surly, the whole thing, and I wasn't happy with it at all for a lot of years. And then this came along, and it's like, this is something I could consider. It's not that I'm like anti-marijuana. I don't personally use it, and I don't really care. People do what they want. I don't like the drug culture that was associated with it. But this crop, we've had a lot of experience. We have a lot of people we care about who've had really amazing positive experiences using it as a therapeutic, using it for inflammation, for epilepsy, for cancer, for all sorts of things, and chronic insomnia, for lots of stuff. So I understand it's got a high medicinal value, and I am good participating in that. I think it's a good thing. It's kind of fun to be we've always grown food, and to grow medicine too is kind of cool. So, and we have, our certified kitchen and our processing license, and we can turn this into some of our own product if we ever got a minute. So it's on our list of things to do, to make our own product line for our store, and for, just to develop some of our own stuff that we want to do. We have some ideas. It's just another project. So we're getting there. But in the meantime, we're learning how to grow it and handle it well so that we can do that. And we had a very successful year last year. We ended up with a really good crop. We had fun trying to sell it just like everyone else, but we did in the end. And I think we're getting it dialed in to where we can produce something really of a high quality, which is nice.
And it's just like vegetables in the sense that post-harvest handling is critical. It's really, really important to get it right. And the hemp is especially tricky because the buds are so tight that we have this mold thing that happens, And
yeah, it's a bear. But it's also interesting, we're working with some people that are more knowledgeable on it than we are. And they're like, how come your stuff comes out so good? And I'm like, I don't have any great ideas. We put a few things on it that some friends said, oh yeah, this is a good fertigator, or this. And I said, but the reality is we've been, building this soil organically for 17 years. So, when you're planting something into soil that is of a high quality soil to start with, you're going to end up with a high quality crop, even if you don't nurture it and baby it and give it 1,000 things like, everybody's trying to do. The crop, the soil itself is very conducive to what we're doing. So that was nice to see that played out in a new crop, that it's like, oh yeah, good soil makes a difference, so.
Big difference.
And we're really, really fortunate on this property that, just like, talk about the gift of good land. This property has never been abused, not in record anyways. The people who built the barn that is our store and the little barn ahead of it, that was built in the 40s. And there's these beautiful, well-built barns. People who've owned the property afterwards, the people we bought this property from, treated it well. Nobody abused it. Nobody came out here and trashed it. Nobody.
It was just a big hayfield in support of the little dairies that used to be here.
Yeah, and they had a little dairy here, and they, but nobody ran a bunch of animals. Nobody used a bunch of pesticides. Nobody did crappy things to good soil. So, when we were looking for land, we said we want good soil, good water rights, good water, good infrastructure, and the ability to build a house. And this property presented itself within 2 weeks. So here we are.
Manifested really quickly.
Yeah, I was like, wow, okay, guess that's ours. So
Like they say, you get what you need when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And we were at that point. We needed it.
Yeah, we just made the decision that this is what we want. This is, what we needed to do what we wanted to do. And we looked at some other properties. We were at escrow on another property that fell through, and once we actually said this is what we want, it was here. So, and here we are. We didn't want to be on the highway. That's not what we had in our pretty vision. But when we have lemons, make lemonade, and we have our store.
The
So
store.
Yeah. It's really easy to access, just
totally.
right off the highway.
Yeah,
It's
and
perfect.
it's we're a bit of proselytizers, as you might tell. And it's nice to have a venue. It's nice to have somewhere that people come into our store, they drive by here every day, they see what we're doing, they can come in our store and ask questions, and they're connected to us in a way that even coming to growers market, they're not going to understand it. But we're 90% of the people that come in our store are our local community that drive by us all the time, and they notice what we're doing,
When we first got
and they're
here,
excited about what we're
when
doing.
we first got here, we flipped people out because we were so quick. We got out here, we got land worked up, we got plants in the ground, seeds in the ground, greenhouses up, and in a matter of months, people said, "What are these people doing, man?" And like the old boys down the street said, "Oh, they're hippies, but they're good hippies."
He's a hippie, I'm not.
Thing is, we've been in business together for all this time, and we're still doing it.
Yeah, we used to joke that like farming with your partner is kind of like, if you've been married 20 years, that's like 40 years in dog years, because you're 24/7 with each other, So,
I just love your energy and how like happy and satisfied you are. Which,
except for those days we're crabby.
except for those days, but those days are just.
But the reason we're still into it is that we've always had the ability to talk to each other and compromise and come up with the best plan.
So communication.
Yeah. Although at one point, I don't remember what you did. I think you had some carrots you had seeded, and I wanted to put in some sweet corn, and I'd set mine up, and then the corn died, and your corn died, and I said, well, you took the water off of it and put on your carrots, and then I thought I was going to write a book that said, farming with your partner, separate beds. That's your crop and that's my crop. Leave it alone. Don't take my water.
I want to read that book.
No kidding.
So what's over here?
These are our ponds. So we're on a ditch system. We're on the Bridgepoint ditch, and they end here.
We have an abundance of water. We're so fortunate. It's just incredible.
We are the lucky people.
And not only is there a lot of it, but it's really high quality because there's nobody doing any nasty stuff.
There's nobody like spraying algicides or running cows in it or anything. It's really nice. It's really good water.
It's
Lucky.
not true of every irrigation district.
And we're really
Some of-
fortunate because Blue Fox is right down the road from us, and they take on a lot of the management of this section because they're doing the same thing we are. So they have to have clean water. So, and they're younger and more frisky, so they get to manage more of it than we do. So I mean, so it's once again, it's that working in community with each other. So. Yeah, it would be hard to have a farm without a water feature. And
Yeah.
our first farm up on our first main farm that we owned up on Elk Creek Road had 1,000 feet of Sugar Pine Creek, and it was so beautiful. And then we got down here, we were like, we don't have a creek, but at least we have ponds. So it's okay. This is like Fabio.
Hi.
Fabio saves our life most days. We have beets
Good. Yeah, good.
next week.
Octavio is our mano numero uno.
He's the man that does it all. So. And his son works for us now.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is
he's planting
perfect.
cucumber right there now.
There you
in
go,
the
see?
big greenhouse, yeah.
Yeah, our kids work. Our daughter is 18 and she's working with us, and Tavi is 19 and he's working with us. So we met Tavi when he was 8 years old.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Good thing.
Now
Now
they're all big.
Yeah.
Without Octavio, the whole thing.
Yeah, if Octavio leaves, we'll have to close. Don't leave us.
No, I don't do that. I'm gonna stay here.
Okay, forever. I know we're gonna build you guys a house in the back. What's happening?
Oh,
They're insanely big.
There.
Yeah, they're rock hard and big, and once again, it was just a really good spring. Sometimes all your overwintered onions are gonna bolt, and these ones did amazing.
And what is the flavor on this? Like, are they...
They're good. They're just a yellow onion, and overwintered onions tend to be a little milder because they don't go through all that heat, so they don't tend to be as spicy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just a nice mild onion. Yeah, you use them anywhere. Just a regular onion. You could get away with using them raw, or you can use them. I mean, we use them in salsas and stuff, but they're good for cooking too. More of that if only you had time, right? And these are all sweet peppers in here. and a little bit of tomatoes. Corn. He's our local seed grower. He just died this spring. He did an amazing dehybridization of sweet corn. I made it all open source, and I mean, first 25 years we farmed, first 20 years we farmed, we always grew hybrid corn seed because it's like, non-hybrid corn seed, just it wouldn't be sweet, it would not be sweet more than 2 days and cooler, and stuff's amazing. It's better than any standard sweet the whole GMO contamination. I'm really reluctant to bring in corn seed that hasn't been tested for GMOs. And I know that this is clean, so corn and beet seed I'm pretty picky about, especially corn, just because pollen travels so much, and I don't want to contaminate anybody else because I'm taking it to a seed crop. Even if these beets in some ways were contaminated with anything GMO, I wouldn't be spreading pollen in my neighborhood. Whereas if I have corn that has any tainting, then I'm spreading pollen in my neighborhood, and I don't want to do that. So I'm really picky about our corn seed more than anything else.
And do a lot of your neighbors share like the same ideology?
Oh yeah,
sometimes?
yeah. I mean, everybody's. I think that the whole GMO ban really educated people a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're really fortunate here too, in that we don't have a lot of other people in our windscape too much. We don't have a lot of stuff coming down the pike to us. We're really windy here, but there's not like a lot of conventional growers upwind of us or anything like that. So it's a great good fortune. We had gotten it years and years ago, and when we moved down the property, we just sort of healed it in over here, like, oh, this is temporary, and it's been here for 17 years. And then our other worker got a lot of water on it this spring, and look at the size of these. This is timber bamboo, but look how big these guys are. They're so beautiful.
How long did it take for it to
Those
get this
grow
big?
like a foot a day. They're crazy. Yeah, and look how much taller it is than anything else.
You can just about sit and watch them grow, if you're of a contemplative turn of mind.
But I just love bamboo so much. Like, I want to take this and make a bamboo thicket somewhere. I love bamboo.
I heard it makes a great privacy wall too.
It does, yeah. I mean, and this is, like I said, this is the timber bamboo, but people grow the smaller bamboo as a shelter screen. But even this, I mean, I would just love to have, like, put a ton of water on it and make it be huge. It's so beautiful. I really want the bamboo forest. So, bamboo forests are pretty epic. Every day above ground is a good day. That's always his motto. Doing good. Every day above ground is a good day.
So about this time, do you get ready to open the farm store?
Yeah, the store opens at 11. So we have staff that should be there now. They come at 10 to start the process. And on very good days, it's not long. This is local bread and local honey, and then this is Oshala's Teas down the road. Griffin Creek from Ashland. This is Cerberus. They actually roast this right across over at Blue Fox. And Cafe Mom is up in Eugene. They manage that business. This is some of our value-added stuff with our garlic, and then Oshala does these as well. And then like all of this stuff is just bag downs because I don't like packaging at all. So I've always liked bagging stuff down. So, and these are all biodegradable bags with the PLA window on them. So there's all our krauts. And and then By George cheese in the Little Applegate, and hummus coming from Cave Junction. We made creme fraiche, and then Mama Terra cheese from out in Selma. We just got sheep milk from Langlois, local sheep milk, so that's really good. If you're a dairy person, it's like the bomb. If you're
I've
a
never
coffee
had sheep
person that likes cream in your coffee, it's really good. So. And then Rumiano cheese and butters, they come from Crescent City. So, and then most of this is ours. You know, most of the veggies are ours. Like I said, these ginormous things of cauliflower, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, they're sizable, as they say. See, we have all these local meats. Isn't that the grooviest? We have yak meat and lamb and pork and beef and chickens from Eastern Oregon. So it's just totally cool.
Oh, this is awesome.
And then on this side, we have Port Orford seafood. And Gilly makes wonderful soups in our kitchen. More Rise Up bread. Organicos from Phoenix. So yeah, lots of good stuff. Jefferson Farm Kitchen that's their pies and the pie doughs, pizza doughs. They're in Jacksonville. And cookie dough. So yeah, just lots of good food. We're really lucky to have so much there's so much abundance in this valley. It's amazing. And then Oshala has a lot of her medicinals. You know, we make fire ciders, and we're all out right now, gotta get Kazi to make them. We make our own hand sanitizer that we sell a ton of. And then a couple other local Haba type people. So we don't have a local chocolate maker, or we'd have it here. So. It took so long, I was just in such a...
Oh, you didn't take long, but that was fabulous.
No, I mean with like answering and getting here. I was so overwhelmed the last 3 weeks of like, trying to get everything done. And I knew you guys wanted to come out and finish your project, because we all have our project
We're
goals.
just getting going, so no worries.
Good.
You're
All right.
Probably squarely at the beginning.
Good. We were here. All right.